If you were already on, now we're on all together. And we had a little technical issue. I probably did it, and I'll take responsibility for it since it is my show, right? And I did do it. I just don't know how. I'm really looking forward to tonight's show. We're going to talk about some dreams. We're going to have the intuitive side of it. We're going to have a clinical side of it. Well, no, we're not allowed to have a clinical side of it, but we can talk about the dreams. I got to be very careful because, Laura will disown me if I don't say it the right way. So we're going to talk about those kind of things. We're going to take some questions. We already see that Carmela Taylor is waiting to come on and a few others. So that's going to be nice. And if you have a question about your dreams, let's talk about it. And without further ado, Paula, I think we should introduce our friend Lara Clayton. And we should. And there she is. And there she. Oh wow! Isn't that a professional way to get things done, Lara?
Well, hello. I'm glad to be here.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for coming on and having fun with us for the next hour or so. And it's too bad that Linda and Miranda aren't here, but they're out at the bar drinking. So it's just going to be you and I.
We'll hold down the fort.
Yep, we can. And I'm just saying that it's awesome to talk about dreams, and it's such a cool subject because most of us dream, but I wanted to know about the people that don't dream too at the same time, and where it comes from, why people do certain things in their dream state. Sleepwalkers, we haven't talked about that though, but we were just talking about dreams. But I know a couple of sleepwalkers that are very interesting, and I know, just to throw something out there, almost probably about 10 years ago, I saw somebody look in the mirror, looking at themselves, and they were talking, and they were doing this all the time and looking into a mirror, standing up, and they handed me over a pygmy, and they just said, "I don't know what they're doing here." And for about 5 minutes, she was handing me over these pygmies because she's a very tall woman. So that was a very funny one for me. And I like embarrassing her as much as I can, because she does the same to me. So we got something like that. But where do you want to talk? How do you want to start this off, Lara?
Well, I think we could set it up with a little bit of context.
Okay.
So what is the function of a dream? I think that there's some,
Yep.
I'm just gonna say out there that there's a certain population of people who are like, it's just a physiological thing that happens, and it's just your mind wandering, and there's no meaning to it, and it's just kind of a state of being, I don't believe that. I definitely believe that dreams hold a lot of information, and I really believe that the function of a dream is to help us learn about ourselves. And it's like having some unconscious content bubbling up, greeting our consciousness, and leaving it at that, which is why we have something called dream work that we do, which is try and make sense of it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So in that interpretation of that, and I like that side of it too. When I have people who ask me about certain dreams, I've got a friend out in California as well, and she dreams, and she's starting a beautiful business, but she's dreaming of owning a new home with the number 7 is the pool shape, is the number 7. And she's been having this reoccurring dream for like 3 days in a row. And she's humored by it. And she says, I don't know, I love swimming, but she doesn't know why it's a number 7. And I'm still trying to figure it out. So I'm going through the 7 angels, 7 deadly sins. Is there something wrong? I'm doing the spiritual side of it, and I'm still trying to figure out the answer. And she stopped dreaming about it. Probably, I think she had it 3 days in a row. So I really don't know how to answer. I don't.
Well,
So
so what that tells me is that something happened in her life that
yeah.
let her self say, "Yeah, I'm done. We don't need to process this anymore." So maybe the question would be like, what in her life happened that was different that happened that these dreams stopped, and then that could give you some insight as to why they started.
Oh
There's
wow.
Yeah. So there's a lot there. You have the idea that there's symbology in certain things in dreams. Water usually means life, or it means the unconscious, or it means, cross-culturally, there's some meaning with, certain things. And then other times you have really like seven could be lucky seven. It's really just it's whatever that person is in their culture that they grew up with.
Yeah.
It could have been a different symbol for someone. It could have been a shamrock if it was a lucky thing or whatever. I don't know. It just depends on how you grew up and what your culture was about.
So okay. So um on my spiritual end of it, I have people that dream of their teeth falling out or their teeth are being pulled out. And whenever that happens for us in my world, there is a death coming.
So that's interesting because that's not the usual typical interpretation.
What is the interpretation of that?
If you look it up, I believe it says
Yep.
it's a stress thing. Yeah.
And it
Um,
does say it's all filled with stress, anxiety over something that they're trying to get over, or it could be their own personal hygiene that somebody said something to them about it and they're not doing well. So I get those too, and I do ask those questions as well, and um, I don't get those answers. I really get that Aunt Martha just passed away. So that's the difference for me in one of those. And
mhm.
in the dream interpretation of things that are happening, what about someone that is impacted by, uh, uh, how did I write it down? Why can dreams be so like uh, uh, beautiful, like something you don't forget, and you'll hold on to this dream that you had when you were 5 years old, but it seems to come in every year, or you remember this dream like it's crazy. For me, it's always riding a bike. It's always riding a bike, and I'm riding that bike to my grandparents, or I'm riding that bike to my school, but it's always has been a dream with me riding a bike and exhausted running the bike, by the way. So I need to
Like
get,
you had already been writing it for a while.
yes, for a long time. And,
Yeah.
so how has that happened? Where does that come from?
Well, I think the recurring dream. Oh, I don't know what that was. The recurring dreams.
I'm listening.
Okay. Those are the ones that, well, there's a message trying to get through. And sometimes the dreams are, I believe, the dreams are like, hey, I'm not getting through to you, so we're going to continue doing this until you get it or until something happens that shifts, right? Then we can back off. And then there's other dreams. It's like if it's a wonderful dream, like if you have a lot of wonderful, like riding a bike, it's joyful, it's free, it's being a little kid and being independent for the first time. It could be like all of these things, and it could be that your unconscious is giving you a gift, saying, "Hey, you deserve to have a little bit of joy in your life. I'll give you some now. Maybe I'll prompt you. Maybe it'll get you to motivated to get hop on your bike and have some fun."
And I
It
do.
could just be that.
Could be just that too. And I believe, like, for me, it was always the independence, I think, of that is where I take it the most, because I taught myself how to ride a bike. I enjoyed riding a bike. I took care of my bikes, and that was my escape, I guess. Maybe that's where I'm going with it all the time. When I'm overwhelmed, I get out on my bike. But in my dream state, I'm dreaming that, and that's once a week, by the way. That's been forever.
That's
So,
awesome.
and barefoot, always barefoot.
Yeah, I get that actually harks back to my childhood too, being barefoot all the time. I can't tell you, this is going to sound gross, how many toenails I've lost riding a bike barefoot.
Ah, it does. Those. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah, but I still love biking. Never stopped me.
Um, we've got some people that are coming on, which is pretty cool. Oh wow, we got um, Doug Tardif. I don't know if you know him. He's our gentleman that moved from New Brunswick to Quebec City, and he's everybody loves this guy. So we usually get him to come on. And Doug, if you have any dreams, let us know. Okay, he's just quite quick on. He's a quick drama draw kind of guy. I really like him.
Nice.
Uh, we have Jacqueline Carn. I can. Oh, I see. Even with my glasses, I'm having a hard time. She says she dreams of water a lot, and it usually means fertility in the spiritual world. So when when they when people are always doing that, to me that's kind of cool. But uh, uh, what the interpretation I get when I've never had water associated with uh, having a child, I always had death as a new beginning. When you dream of death, that means that there's something new that's going to come up. So that's kind of cool for me too. So I
Mhm.
that's another one, and I'm not letting Paula do her job sometimes. Um, Carmela, she just wants to get a live reading, but Carmela, if you have something about a dream, let us know. What else? Hey, Carlos. Carlos, I only dreamed at like 6 a.m. and I forget about what it is when I wake up an hour later.
Thank you for that, Carlos. That is such a common thing that happens. Um, so yes, we typically dream throughout the night, and I guess they say whoever they are, the average is like 4 to 6 dreams a night, and there are certain ones that we remember, and most of the time, the ones that we remember, or the ones that wake us up at night, are the ones that are like really charged emotionally. The 6 to 8, that's our liminal time. That's when our body's starting to wake, or our mind's starting to wake up, and we start tossing and turning and things like that. So we're not sleeping as deeply. So there are folks who don't remember dreams during the nighttime, and those folks are usually the ones that do remember between the 6 a.m. to wake up time. And what I would suggest doing, if you have time, if there's like this idea that if you really want to get into this, you get a dream journal. I have a dream journal. It's right next to my bed. I can't say that every time I wake up, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to write it down, because sometimes I just want to go back to sleep. But um, I do have a knack for remembering dreams, so it's not that for me. But to have it in the morning, just so you can write down, even if it's just things in there that strike you, like the sun was so bright I could hardly see, even just that, that's something that you could look at. There's an idea with dreams of amplification. It's called amplification. Those are things that stand out in the dream. They could be symbols, they could be people. Um, Typically, yeah, things that happen. And then what you do is you take that one thing and then you just kind of meditate it all day, and you can ask, hey, bright sun, what were you trying to tell me? Or hey, da 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 da. Usually it just starts that kind of inner work that happens. Your mind starts going, you can daydream about it, things start popping up, and you're like, oh yeah, or you start telling someone about it and they ask you a question, you're like, no, da da da. And you're like, wait a minute, that. So I think the biggest thing with dreams and understanding them is having that conversation with them. So finding out a way to take them out of your mind,
Okay.
putting them on paper, helping you organize, talking about it, getting your mind moving about it in a different way. Um, so yeah, those are great things to do. So try the dream journal, and then you can also pick out if there's patterns, so if there's like an emotional pattern, like maybe you have a bunch of dreams where you're feeling embarrassed or out of control or being left behind, or maybe they're fertility dreams and you're just like floating around in the water and you're like, hey, this is cool, I can breathe in here, like that holds a lot of meaning. it's not evident what it is. For someone who had an experience when they were younger and maybe they were close to drowning, it could have a totally different meaning, than someone who's never had that kind of trauma in the water. So it is really like, it really depends on the person and what culture you're from.
And the culture is our beliefs, right? Our belief ideologies, what we see, what we grow up with. Like in Canada, we're great, you see. So we don't have bad dreams. But
Well, and it's the language we use, right?
that's right.
So, I had a recurring dream and I had it all the way up through my 20s and it had to do with me having my leg amputated. And I was in the forest with my sister and there was something going on and the switch came and she just took my leg off. It didn't hurt or anything. I was never disturbed by this dream, but it wasn't until later, actually my master's program, we, had a dream tending class and or workshop and I was doing it and what came to me was I didn't have a leg to stand on. That's vernacular. That's a cultural vernacular, you know? And that's exactly how I was feeling. And it took me until I was how old to like finally figure that out. And all I had to do was talk about it.
Oh,
Because
wow.
when it lives in your head for so long, you're just like, I should be really disturbed by that. This is really weird. What is it about witches? Blah, blah, blah. There's but you're not paying attention to like some of the most obvious things.
Right. It's nice to talk about our bad dreams, and you have such a beautiful smile to go with it when you talk about it. So we're not afraid for you with losing that leg. So
No, but see, that's the thing. It's if you look at it objectively, like this is me giving myself information. It's
right.
like, what do I do with it? How can I understand it? Right. So it's actually a really beautiful process. It's a very imaginal process. There's even a lot of value in daydreaming. Sometimes our mind wanders. It's like loose association or something, and it's like, oh yeah, just maybe I do need a vacation, like.
I was in school. I was daydreaming all the time. So it was just like you're looking outside. I am hearing the teacher, and they would ask you the question, and I'd be the smart ass and be able to actually answer it sometimes, most of the time. And then he would leave me alone for a little while, and then if I wasn't paying attention, he'd always ask that question. And I was always daydreaming. I was just wondering, what tree is that squirrel putting those nuts in? That's, you know, that's high school, man. That's pretty bad.
There's something about squirreling away nuts, Jim. I'm just kidding. I'm teasing you.
I had to put away. Well, I have to save for a rainy day, I guess. Who knows? Um, I want to ask you a question about. I have a client right now. Who I'm life coaching, and she is able to tell me, and I can't answer her. She has a dream about her. She's a teacher. She teaches her class. Everything works fine, and then she sees. She says a child wets her pants, and she goes to help the child, and the child is not there. And she goes up the aisle to see this little one, and but she wakes up after she doesn't see the child, goes to the washroom, comes back, and has the same dream, but is able to see the child this time. It's like she leaves it, is literally, she says she's awake, and then she goes back to sleep and she's concluding the dream. Is that it?
Yeah, I mean that happens where you just slip right back into that dream. And actually, if you request it, if you're having a good dream, you're having a dream that you're like, it's not quite done, something woke me up, I want to know more about this. You can set an intention on your way back to sleep, start thinking about the last thing you thought about in that dream, or even like something leading up to it. And then it is possible to fall back into that dream and get more information.
That's kind of cool. I like that one. That's that. Maybe I'm gonna set her up with you. Maybe you can talk.
Only in California.
Only in California. Sorry, licensed only in California. But I get it. I get where everybody has a different thing. And the hippies originated from California, I think. Or was it Woodstock in New York? I don't know. It doesn't matter.
I think they migrated and came back.
Probably. Um, we are getting some questions, aren't there, out there, Paula? Is that true? Because I'm looking, I just can't read them all.
Yes, that is. I can read a couple out if you like.
Yeah, please.
Mr. Tardif says he dreamt that he was reincarnated as a baby boy and he retained all his memories from previous life. So it was really annoying when everybody was going goo goo and I wanted to speak.
I love this guy. I do. Um, I maybe he wasn't hurt as a child for me on the spiritual level, and no one was paying attention to him. But it becomes very vivid for someone because they need to be heard, and that's what and that is on a psychic level. That's where I would go with it. I don't know how else I could interpret that. So it would be that much. It's not exciting for me.
I would ask, and this is a good, just standard question. When I was talking about like the emotionally charged dreams,
Yeah.
I would ask, um, first, I would try and identify what that emotion was, how you were feeling. It's called a dream affect. You would
Okay.
ask that, what was I feeling? And then I would ask myself, when was the last time I felt that way and what was going on? And see if it speaks to anything currently happening or something that maybe came up. Sometimes we have anniversaries of things that happen. Yeah, that's what I would do.
Cool.
And that's not a clinical thing. That's just a dream thing. I'm not.
But still, that's I know, and that's what I mean. You today are riding that fine line of carefulness.
I am.
Uh,
But I would tell anyone that they can ask their friends these things. I think there's an idea now in society that we need therapists for everything. And I know I'm maybe like not the most popular person for not the most popular therapist for saying this, but I think that there's been an opening up for the need for therapy because there's a lack of real social connection among people, and we can blame whatever we want on that, social media, COVID, whatever. But I do feel like there's a lot of things that we expect with therapists that we no longer expect from our friends, and dream work is definitely something that you can talk to your friends about. If it's some like really disturbing thing and it goes back to some childhood trauma or it's really causing emotional distress,
right.
um, then I would definitely, reach out to a therapist to talk about it. Yeah.
And that's interesting. That's kind of cool. We do have a lot of questions, but I needed to ask this one here. Um, what is it that I just had it at the tip of my tongue because I was listening, and I got to stop doing that. Not listening. I always listen. Sleep paralysis.
Mm.
I know it's a part of my dream world, but I've been in a situation where I was in a haunted hotel and I was held down into the bed. I could not move at all. And all I heard in my ear was, they're guilty. And then I felt a release. They let me go. The TV turned on, and it was those two brothers that did the Boston Marathon terror. And that's what he was talking about. And I said, oh, they're guilty. And this is when they found the younger brother in a boat, pretty beaten up. And then I just said, he'll be guilty. He'll be found guilty. And then the water came on in the bathroom. And I don't know what that meant either for me, but it was just acknowledging that he is guilty, I'm assuming. And it was a judge that I was in that room. And he lived in that hotel forever. So that was kind of cool for me. But I did not like, especially for me, to be held. I felt like I was just pushed into the mattress and I could not move, but I felt aware of everything that was around me. And I didn't know what to do.
Yeah, I mean, if you look that up, that's one of those things that people will say it's a physiological thing where your mind's awake, but your body's not quite awake, and there's like your synapses aren't talking. And I think maybe sometimes that's true, but I will say one of the reasons why I'm really into dream work is because I've had a very rich dream life ever since I was little. And sleep paralysis has been a part of that too. And interestingly, when I was married, I saw my husband having that sleep paralysis. I could see he was in it, and I did wake him up. They say it's not like sleepwalking; you can wake him up. I don't know, but he did wake up.
Did he notice anything himself, or
He was seeing something.
okay?
Wow.
Wow.
He was seeing something, and I could see his eyes were, because you can look around. It's like you said, you can look around, but you can't
Oh
like
yeah.
vocalize anything or move. Yeah. So, and maybe it's a mix of physiological and spiritual or something. I mean, either way, I think there's still meaning there.
There,
Um,
I feel that too, and I want people to know that not all sleep paralysis, from the psychic's interpretation, is bad. They're trying to relay a message that we're not listening to, and we really need to. So they hold us prisoner until we listen to what's going on. And sometimes, again, speaking out to someone and just saying, I had this, or like I would go and just say, I'm being held down here, and they're saying that um, my car is going to be stolen, and you have to sit here, and you're going to hear your car start, and it's going to go out of your driveway, but you're going to stay right there in bed. Because that sort of happened to me in another town where I lived, and my Volvo was stolen.
well, you're a psychic, so
Yeah, I know. So it's kind of crazy. I have Lisa. I can't read her stuff, but Lisa, Paula, can you read Lisa's plet? Lisa Flux plet? Can you read hers?
Lisa
I
Flux
can't even
Pete.
see it. Yeah.
Yeah, she says, I used to have dreams that confuse me. I remember them and months later live it. Not deja vu, but premonition. One, of a house before we bought it. Two, on job changes, but weren't about work. And then, yeah, she had sleep paralysis too, I think. She was sexually assaulted in paralysis.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And I've had a lot of clients that have said that to me as well.
sleep is your most vulnerable time. I mean, it really is. Yeah, I'm very sorry to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
So this person is someone who really has a lot of different, like also has a very rich dream life too. And that's really lovely, right? Because it kind of is reaffirming if, you dreamt of a house and then you moved into it, that was the right thing to do. Like it's really lovely.
That's cool. Um, Someone has a question for Laura. Maggie Jane 883. Paula?
Yeah. She says, I've been asking my kitty in spirit to visit me while I'm sleeping. I'm waiting for that lifelike visitation that we hear about, but nothing yet. What else can I do beyond inviting him?
It's interesting. I have had visitation, I believe, from folks who have passed on, and my cat too. I felt jump up on the bed, and I was like, "Oh, Boo's here," and then I was like, "Oh, wait a minute, that was like, you know, years ago, maybe."
Uh,
You know? Um, I think this is probably more of a Jim question.
yes, I was just going to go.
Yeah.
Maggie, part of it is the desire and the want to have your cat around. Now, if I had Angel on here, the pet psychic, she would probably say that that cat is preparing to come back to Earth and either be with someone else, be back with you again. But there could be something that's happening why you're not seeing your precious fur baby. So that is the thing that I'm picking up the strongest out of that. And you're waiting for that lifelong visitation, lifelike visitation that we all hear about. And we do. But the biggest problem about that is sometimes we can't even get a hold of our loved ones that we're asking for to come and join us. and we're always feeling them, and that is remorseful. And like we miss them terribly. I still dream about my mother coming and making me pasta, and that's like over 50 years ago, you know? So it's pretty tough, but it is like, I guess I just liked her pasta, just like you missing your cat kind of thing, and that's not very fun. But if you email me, Maggie, I'll set you up with Angel, and Angel Morgan, and she can help you with a lot of that for sure. Okay. What else have we got here? That was Doug. Oh, wow. Any other questions that I'm not picking up here?
Carmela has one here, but she's in the waiting room as well to come on live.
Oh, yeah.
Can I just add like another helpful tip?
Absolutely.
So when you're thinking of, when you're looking back on your dream and you're making your notes or just thinking about it, some of the things to look out for, like I said, was what is the emotion? Kind of externalize that, play with it, ask it some questions. The other thing is, and then you have the symbols and looking into those if you know those have meaning for you. And then the other thing too is if you experience people in your dreams and they're people you know. A lot of people don't even dream about people they know, they dream about other people. But if you do dream about people you know, there is a theory that those people are holding aspects of yourself and that you're actually having an interaction. So, for instance, if you have an overbearing friend, and that friend is in your dream and something happens, there's a conflict, or maybe you're embracing them. Maybe you're like, I love what you just said, or da 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 da. Like that holds a lot of information too. It's calling on that part of yourself that that maybe you need to employ for something going on in your life at that time.
I like that. That's interesting. That's
Yeah.
really, yeah. Now the symbols that some people dream of, those are like, I see people with who dream of being knifed all the time. But is that there? I think, and even on a psychic level, I don't even understand what the knife is doing there, or I can't read that person about something that they could get assaulted with, or the knife is all of a sudden in their hand and they are turning around and assaulting the assailant, and then the dream, and then they wake up. But it has maybe nothing to do with the act, but maybe just the knife itself means something, or a lamp, or there, like you're saying, there's an object attached to people's dreams as well, you know?
Yeah, and actually there I would say that's when I would look at the emotion, because there's the knives, the shooting, unless you grew up in a way and like the knife does have some specific meaning or something like that, or
Yeah.
any other type of weapon, or the monster chasing you. Like these are all very fear-based, like I'm out of control, I can't get away from whatever this is. And it's pretty awesome that they were able to turn it around and take control. And so that is actually part of integrating that emotion into, or that experience, the emotional experience, into your psyche.
It's
Yeah.
like, and when I go is you increased your soul's purpose or your soul's range, that you become more aware of your surroundings, you're paying attention, you're protecting yourself. There's a lot of things that I pick up on those too, right? And it's
Yeah.
usually when I'm life coaching them, I get to know them after the third session really, really well. And then I'm able to break down some of their dreams through their how they're triggered by their dreams. Because no matter what I do, almost every life coach client starts dreaming when they talk to me.
That's amazing.
And I thought,
That's the work. That's their unconscious bubbling up and saying, I have something to say about this.
and I love that. And it's so cool because even on the first session, they'll come back to me, and I give everyone permission to email me or to text me when they're having these issues as a life coach. And they feel better about it because all of a sudden they're able to talk about it. So I'm liking that. It's really, really cool. So what about this was from a friend of mine, Chris. If you're missing a limb all the time, you talked about the leg, but if you're You didn't have a leg to stand on. I
I
thought
didn't have a leg to stand on.
that
Yeah.
he had no arms, and he's had that since he was 13, and he's a animal health technician, like works in the veterinarian field. And he says he always has those dreams working 12 to 13-hour shifts at times. So he's really exhausted and he has no hands. So I'm always telling him that you can't lift anything anymore, so you're not seeing them. That's the only interpretation I was able to give him. He told me that the F-bomb, and he just says, you don't know what you're talking about. And, you know, he's that's what friends do, right?
Yeah.
And but he sort of settled with it, but it's very hard for them to do those kind of things, so it's not always great to do that. What should you tell us when we're really upset about a dream and we want to talk about it to a professional? And I know you can't talk on that level because we're not in California, but if we work towards that goal of writing down our dreams and sharing them with our therapist or psychiatrist, do they get a lot more out of it from us if we write it down or if we record it and let them listen to it? And then do you get to ask us questions afterwards? I'm assuming that would fill that gap of the unknown, right?
Yeah.
We heard something.
My little one had something to say about that.
Oh yeah.
Yes, there's number one, it has to do with sometimes dreams are about details.
Yes.
So when we're walking by something, let's say we're walking by and there's like an out of place, I don't know, toilet on the corner, right?
Yep.
Then that might just be for that person. They're like, well, that was weird, and they might not think about it, but then that's something that you could like really get into. Sorry.
Sorry. Listen, I don't care. It's Miranda has her boys running into the show every once in a while, and Linda usually has something going on, and she's just always going, Jesus. Well, she's the F-bomber.
Yeah. Well, thank you for helping me feel better about that. Yeah, so one of the, I would say, just for memory's sake, it is very helpful if you write it down. I would say writing it down, reading it back is probably a little bit more effective than recording. Recording can be for that person to think about later, but writing it down, then it can be like, oh wait, I thought you just said this and now it's this, and then something might come up between those two things. Whereas the recording just plays through,
Yes. So learning how we are as people, it's important to be yourself. It's important to, if you're having a dream and you have them, write them down so that we can talk about them. And I tell my clients that as well. And if people are uncomfortable with their dreams, they should see a therapist to help them interpret it on a clinical value, not just the psychic value, which is what I do. And I don't have the same common sense as you certainly do, because you are so articulate and you listen to every word we say. I've learned that with you, and the other person that does that is Paula, who doesn't show up right now, but she listens to every word, she sees every detail, and she will remember something from 20 years ago and she'll remind you about it. And it's interesting how you guys can have all of that. That's so cool.
Yeah.
I just think that they should be writing down some stuff.
Oh, I will say too, can I add that not all therapists know how to do dream work. That's something that you really focus on and do. It's not like part of the standard, therapy education. It's something that people do as a very, it's an interest or specialty.
Specialize? Okay.
So you can ask the person if that's really if you're going in for like a larger thing and then there's like dream kind of stuff in there, you can have that conversation with the therapist, of course. But if it's really that you want to focus on your dreams, you want to do this dream work, you're going to want to ask the therapist.
I
That
don't
they
want to ask all those questions for sure. For sure. Wow. Maribel. Oh, wow. We've got quite a few people on here. I wanted to ask something, and I'm going to have to get up because my cat just stole one of my crystals and it's rolling down the floor. Paula, can we bring in, who is it? Carmel?
Carmel, yeah.
You want to bring her on board, and maybe we can both answer her dream question, and I can do a quick reading on her at the same time.
Sure. And then we have one more person that would like to come in after Carmel. I'm going to send the link now.
Okay.
That would be our friend, Mr. Tardif.
Oh, Mr. Tardif. Laura gets to meet Mr. Tardif, which is going to be very nice. Okay. So let's bring those both in, and then we're going to have to call it a night.
Okay. And here's Carmel coming in now.
This is the waiting part, because Zoom is not like, we got to wait for Carmela to take it off of mute. And there's her phone.
Oh,
that looks mighty dark.
There you go.
Oh, how are
Bonsoir.
you? Bonsoir. Comment ça va, mademoiselle?
Très bien, merci. Et vous?
Très bien, merci.
Good.
What are you looking for? First of all, we're talking dreams. So what is the dream thing?
Well, the last dream I've had that I question, I think what happened is I was going through a lot of stress.
Yeah.
And I suffocated someone, a lady.
Oh, yeah?
And but I knew what I was doing because I kept doing it until she was gone.
Oh, wow.
So, and I'm wondering if it maybe had something to do with all the stress that I was going through.
Okay.
Like I had an abundant enough, so much stress. And that happened 2 weeks ago. So, I'm just wondering if it might have had.
Is your partner still in bed with you? Like,
actually, there's no partner.
Okay.
Now you know why.
That's okay. We'll just throw them out. Who cares? There's so many new ones out there. I don't know if Lara can answer that.
Well, I mean, what I can say is that's I would say the act of asserting yourself over something or someone.
Okay.
I'd be interested. I'm curious if you were aware in your dream that you were dreaming.
Of what I was doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew exactly what I was doing. And
did you know you were dreaming and that you weren't really in real life hurting anyone?
Okay. No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think I was just in the moment doing what I was doing. And it's weird because at some point in time she fought and she almost got away. And then I got her back. And it's like when I woke up, I said, I know who that was, but I couldn't pinpoint who that was. I don't know if I just thought I knew who it was, but I can describe her to you, but I don't know the person.
It could have been a variety of everyone around you, Carmela.
Yeah.
Carmel, sorry. And
no, that's okay.
And it's the buildup of certain things in your life that everybody was driving you crazy. It wasn't a happy time for you. You were trying to organize your feelings, your thoughts all at the same time. And when you cut down, all of a sudden, you had enough. It was just like too fini, like, you're done.
Why?
And at the same time, you're just looking at yourself and going, I need that break. So that dream to me was warning you that you need to back off, take a breather, step away from the situation.
Yeah.
A stranger would feel your wrath of yelling and screaming because of the personal temperament that you have too.
Correct. Yeah.
See, how
Yeah.
strong your temper is. So it's pretty cool.
Okay. And other dreams I have recurring often is I'm trying to find my car when I come out of the building,
Yeah.
and I'm beeping, but my car is nowhere to be found. Like I can never find the car. And I'll do the whole parking lot and other parking lots, and there's nothing there.
So your father, I think it was your dad who just said it's because you wanted that new car and you want to keep it, and you want to take care of the possessions that you
Oh.
own. There's such ownership to it. So you
Okay,
didn't
okay.
lose it because you were quite able to lose a lot of things when you were a kid and everybody had to look for you.
Okay, okay.
That's what I got. You see?
Yeah, it could very well be. And my other thing I wanted to know, Jim, if you see, is last year I spoke to you about a relationship,
Yep.
and you had seen someone coming into me,
Yes.
and that I was okay because I had just retired.
Yes. You just.
And you had told me that money wise, everything was under control and everything.
Yep.
And I just wanted to know if you see anything in those areas.
In those areas. Okay. So what's your birth date again?
February 21st, 1965.
Okay. Well, I can see where. So last year, when we, at this time last year, we had Venus and Capricorn in your chart.
Okay.
Now, Venus and Capricorn again is in your chart. So,
Oh.
so what it's doing is it's still performing a ritual for you of trying to find a relationship that's going to work.
Okay.
You need to protect your money so that you don't get ripped off like you did in the past,
Okay.
and that the relationship should be coming, I would say, early August for you.
Yeah. Okay. And my last point I have for you
Yep.
is my oldest daughter and
Yep.
I believe that we have either a past life together or some kind of something to work on.
Okay.
Life for us is very difficult together.
Okay.
And it's just, for her, it's never enough. Like just being the mother, I don't know if you see anything where things that might have been.
This would be, I would almost need both of you on camera. I would need
Okay.
her situation, but understand that she took on her father's temper. Okay. And you were very real in your life with her. Like you explained things. This is the way it is. I don't want you to end up like this. You know, you were always pushing to strive her to be stronger and to be better, and that women don't have an opportunity like the men do. So she was always trying to compensate for that and always wanted better. And she believes that you're never satisfied. So that could be something from your past life for sure.
Yeah. Do you see anything else? Anybody trying to come through for me, or?
No, I like today, it's so much traffic. I've just picked up the old man. I picked up your dad. You know?
Perfect.
Like almost
Okay.
right away. And
Yeah.
you know, and he understands what you're going through, and he's just hoping that you remove the shackles from yourself and let yourself live, because you're still working in your head and you're not retired yet.
Yeah. It's weird you bring up my dad, because my dad, I've had a lot of resentments, I guess.
Yeah.
And lately with about him.
Yeah.
And I like, it's the last person I would have thought that would have
And what I tell most
showed up.
people, when you do have family that were dysfunctional in your life, they usually want to help you in the spirit world or in the light to make up for the loss of what they didn't do for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Make your life easier. So we'll send your father to your daughter and just, you know, give her a little throttle.
Help.
And you can say,
help her out.
At 18.
It's just sometimes I wish I knew how to, you know, fix the situation. You know, like I wish I knew what is needed in order to be healed.
Right.
You know.
And that it's loving yourself and working on yourself, having a therapist. If you don't, it's never too late. I'm seeing one. It helps.
Yeah.
To, you know, these kind of things in life really take control over you because you're now retired. You have more time to think about things
Yeah, yeah.
on the harder things. And you've created this retirement for yourself. You've done your hard work, but you don't give yourself permission to enjoy.
True say. Ben, je vous remercie beaucoup, and you both have a great evening.
You too. Merci beaucoup.
Thanks again.
À la prochaine.
Au revoir.
Okay, bye-bye. So, I don't know how that's gonna, there it is. Sorry about that, Lara. That it was a psychic reading time too, I guess.
No, I'm enjoying. I mean, I feel like a fly on the wall. It's wonderful. But I will add that if we were judged by what we dreamed, we'd all be like not very well.
No,
People would look at us. You know what I mean?
but that's the light side of it, where you understand we all would be. It would be horrible.
Yeah.
It would be. Without further ado, Paula, I think we should bring on good old Douglas.
Okay, here he comes.
Okay. This guy, I love this guy. Here he comes. Oh, Doug, get off the mute. He's almost. There he is.
I'm off the mute.
Don't pressure me, man. Good to see you. Comment ça va, monsieur?
Ça va toujours bien, toi?
Pas mal, pas mal.
Hey,
Écoute, on va parler avec les Anglaises here, okay? We'll speak to all these English people and straighten them up a little bit, all right?
so I'll speak in English just a little bit with my accent from Quebec. Eh? That's good. Hey, it's nice to see you again. You're looking
Nice to see
very
you too.
healthy. That's nice, Lara. Nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you, Douglas.
So listen, I'll start right in if it's okay.
Well, you've only got 3 minutes, and then I'm going to hang up on you.
Okay, good. All right, I'll read it very quickly.
Okay.
I'll tell you about the dream. I'll go to the more salient parts. The knowledge, I fell asleep. I did write it down.
Good.
The following, it was vivid, multi-layered, and lengthy. And it started with an understanding that I had been reborn into the body of a baby. I was about 6 months old, a white boy in a crib. I was fascinated with my surroundings, examining everything from the perspective of the first time. But here's the unusual thing. I had the intelligence of my 80 years in the body of the child. This knowledge was equally a trap since I didn't have control over the infant body I inhabited. I wanted to speak, knew what I wanted to say, but the infant was unable to articulate words, just sounds. It was frustrating. Since I completely understood all the conversations around me, my parents were youngish, my dad worked as a laborer and was mostly indifferent. My mom doted endlessly, talking baby nonsense, while I yearned to have a real conversation. This is like a movie. Goes dark, comes back light, next scene. The next insight when I was 2 years old, my motor skills allowed me to be mobile and to articulate my thoughts into coherent sentences. My parents were aware I was indeed a prodigy, but were incapable of coping with the phenomena. They sought professional help. I explained to the psychologist that I was able to read and write well beyond my years, but I knew I could never mention that I had reincarnated. This would open up a slippery slope leading to mental health readjustment, disbelief, or worse. I was quite content to be regarded as a child prodigy, a freak of nature, and to let the world come to their own conclusions. I also knew my parents were ill-equipped to provide an environment that would challenge my mind and allow me to reach my potential. Did I love them? Yeah, the honest answer is no, but I was grateful for their care and I wanted to be educated privately. I had no interest in other children. This goes on at considerable length, so I won't bore you with the rest, other than the fact that I did get a proper education in the dream, and I bumped into my prior life's family members while I was at university, and I knew that was related to them, but I knew that I also couldn't say anything. It was a bizarre, but just a wonderful dream. There's no trauma, Lara. Honest to God, I have a very easy life.
Well, that's fortunate.
Are you allowed to comment on any of that, Lara? No way. You're You're in
You
California.
know, I made a lot of notes and I really no. There's a lot there. I guess
No, this
it's
is not
kind of
unusual. I have very vivid dreams. Mostly deal with spiritual matters. I've had some incredible spiritual dreams.
Yes,
This one I took as it was really telling me that I was going, you know, I'm nearing the end of my life and that I was coming back. And it was, and what sort of what I could expect.
it's insane. And you're always like, well, you've written books,
Yep.
you've done some spirit work. You and I have gotten along since day one in all
Yes.
our conversations. We've always learned from one another too, which is very cool. I
Yeah.
just that the childlike side of you is you still have more to say, and you still want to live. You still want to enjoy. You want to have that puts in. You know what I mean? You want to be able to
I
sit.
know what you mean.
And I think that for me, on the spiritual level, you give yourself credit and you have a higher life than most of us have had in our lifetime. You have experienced so many different things that you still want to be able to share it with all of us. And that is what I'm picking up the strongest. So this continuation of this dream that you've had as being a baby maybe was just you had so much to say, but you were limited because nobody could help you. And you're at this point now in your life, like you said, where our mortality is something of not a concern, but a respect. And you still want to be able to handle those kind of things, those situations, and share your wealth of knowledge.
I look upon mortality as it's a presage to a new adventure. You know, I don't know what awaits me on the other side, but I'm looking forward to whatever it is. It's not going to be worse than what I've had here. I've had a damn good life,
Yep.
and I can hardly wait to see what the next adventure is going to be like. Now, the last time we spoke, you sort of suggested that, Doug, your days of reincarnation are over. You're going to be staying on the other side.
Yes.
And I don't know whether I fully agree with that or not. I'd sure like to come back again for one more kick at the can, but you know, whatever awaits me is fine.
And I think that's great. And this is the thing that I love about you as the human soul side of you is you do want to come back and you do want to explore and you do want to not reinvent the wheel, but you want to be able to be prepared and give people a lot of advice that you have always done for us. You've always checked the good, the bad, and the ugly throughout your whole career, my friend.
Mhm.
And I think that's why the psychic dude over here is saying, I'd love to come back because maybe I want to come back with you. I'll be your assistant, you know, I'll learn you. But I really think that going after this, the blink of an eye, you close, you open up your eyes, and everyone's going to call you home on the other side. And that is going to be even greater than what's happening here. That's just my personal.
Yeah, no, I understand that, and I respect your point of view, and it's not that I don't know. I'm not dismayed at that. It's because it's perhaps also not a realization of what I was supposed to accomplish in this life. I may have the feeling that I haven't accomplished everything that I wanted to accomplish, but I could be harder on myself. I may have accomplished what I was supposed to achieve. And, you know, when you buttress that with everything else that I had learned in prior lives, that's sufficient or that's adequate. I don't know.
That's
That
crazy.
sounds pretty good.
No. It's just it sounds like Doug. And it sounds like you think about everything before you speak. You just don't talk off of your just because, and you don't come on the air here just because. You have such relevance in everything that you have a conversation with. You know, like you've got followers for Christ's sake on our show. Where's Doug? We're just gonna have to have you on there, and just you'll have to just maybe be the referee between me and the ladies.
Oh, that's going to be difficult. They have you outnumbered, and they're very cagey about keeping you in line. I think that's nice. I've seen that, so it's a good mix.
It is, but I've also got Lara and I've got Paula who really do keep me in line.
That's true too. Yes.
They're we have a lot of good people in our lives, and that's what I like to say. With all the bullshit that we've gone through, we get to sit here on a Tuesday and have our bubbly and just
Yep.
enjoy ourselves and just feel good about the night. And that's what you bring to us, right? So it's just
Yeah. Laura, I'd like to know how many years you've been exploring the dream world, and how you manage. Why did you get into that in the first place?
I appreciate that question. I have been dreaming as long as I can remember, and it took me a long time. When I was younger, there were certain dreams that were really disturbing to me, and a lot of repetitive dreams or recurring dreams. And so that was one of my interests because I knew that it was something was trying to tell me something, and I just needed to know more about that. And as I got older, I was able to have some pretty awesome lucid dreams where, I knew it was a dream. I could, coordinate things within the dream, manipulate, what's going to happen, what's not going to happen. I could freeze frame, like the big wave's coming. Wait, what is this?
Yeah.
Like, I really believe it's something that it's a skill that people can cultivate.
Yeah.
And the more, it's just like any other exercise, the more you do it, the more you're going to have muscle memory. And it's just so enriching in your life. In my life, it has been very enriching and very telling. So that's a gift that I would love for other people to explore as well.
Yeah, I think the thing for me that when I started to realize what the dreams really meant was that I had to think symbolically. For me, symbols are very important, so that I may be having a dream, but walking down the street and there's a dog and there's a cat and there's something weird going on somewhere. But you're right. You have to go back and explore that and say, okay, what does the symbolism mean, and what's important in that? And the reason I finally came to that conclusion, I've been in the information technology field for 60 years, and there's a really good book, The Art of Symbolic Logic, by someone who was written back in the 50s, and it had to deal with trying to understand how computers work. And the best way, rather than understanding numbers and how they relate to each other, it was better to understand the symbols, and then the symbols could be translated into numeric code, and then you would see the whole and how it all hung together, and how you could write an absolutely perfect program. And so when I started using those principles that I'd learned when I was getting into the computer business, that helped me enormously. But you're right. And I look forward to going to bed at night. I am not afraid of any of the dreams. I have incredibly vivid dreams. It's like I can walk into a room and there's a conversation taking place in one part of the room. I will go to that conversation. I will listen in on what's going on. I'll notice something happening elsewhere. It's almost like I'm walking through a set and taking note of everything that's going on. It's an amazing feeling.
that's great. Now that you've taken over the show, Doug,
Thanks.
it's love for all of us.
Well, I'll give you the garlic and the silver cross. You can when you can give me the symbol and say, Doug, it's time to say goodnight, Gracie. It's one of those things.
We just love you on here. We do, and it's always good to have you on. It is.
Well, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
So we're going to keep in touch. I want to talk to you about the health thing, and Linda wants
Yep.
to talk to you about it too. So maybe we'll just get a private phone call in between all of us here, and it's all good. It's not. There's nothing wrong here. It's just.
Oh, I know. Things are going well.
Yeah, and that's your blood pressure and all that other stuff. So let the world know that you're okay. We're our world anyway, and the
Yeah.
last 11 people need to know this shit. You know.
Absolutely. Don't have to lay awake at night anymore. I'm going to wake up and see the grass tomorrow morning. No, everything's good news. So I'm very pleased as well.
Thank you, Doug, for coming on. And
Thank you so much for having me. And Laura, thank you very much. And I hope to see you again. We'll look forward to it.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
It's been a
Thank
pleasure
you.
for me too. I always love it when somebody has found their niche and, they found an unusual part of their life and they say, something, I could make a career out of this. And they tailor it and they understand it and they share it with other people, and you go through all kinds of trials and tribulations in trying to make it work. Then you find the key and you just coast with it, and away you go, and you become very, very competent and very much a necessity in people's lives. And you provide something of comfort, and you give people the skills to deal with their problems. So it's a wonderful thing.
Okay.
And we need her book written is what we need.
Yeah, absolutely.
All righty. We will talk. I'm going to let you go because we need to leave. I need to take a dog for a walk. I need to have some food and just chill.
Okay.
Doug, thank you for everything again. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
We'll talk
Talk
soon.
to you again.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Take care now. Miss Paula,
Yes, sir.
there's nobody left, right?
Nope.
Ah, good.
Padee, that's all, folks.
That's it. Thank you for producing the show and all that other stuff. I do appreciate that much. You're
Always
good
welcome.
to me, and you're good to our kid, and you bring us the most amazing desserts. So we had some amazing sugar tarts here last week, and I wasn't going to share, but I ended up having to share with 3 other people, so we had to do that. Lara, I cannot thank you enough for coming on tonight, putting up with all our BS and enjoying ourselves and having fun. We will have you back on again.
Sure. It was really fun. Thank you for having me on your show.
You were,
And I knew I couldn't fill the shoes of the other ladies, but I was glad to help out.
oh no, I think you did fill them up. Then that's good because they're sitting at a bar right now, and you and I are talking, figuring out what we're going to eat tonight.
And you got to meet Doug, so.
Yeah,
I did.
we love Doug. We do. So thank you very much. And we can't get a hold of you because you're in California, and you can't help us because you're in California until you're an independent, and then you're just going to become a worldwide celebrity, and you'll have your book and you'll travel around the world with us somehow.
Wow, I look forward to that.
So thank you so much. And I will reach out later on this week, and I think the show airs almost immediately anyway. And if it doesn't, it'll be on tomorrow.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Thank you, Lara. All right. You take care now.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Well, guys, it's the end of the night. It's been a long, long Tuesday for all of us. So today was a good news, bad news day for a lot of us. Tomorrow's even going to be better. We here in Canada are celebrating Canada Day, July 1st, and the American friends, they celebrate it July 4th. I will try and make myself available for the July 4th people, and the July 1st people. I'm going to try and do it as well and just have a lot of fun with you. Paula, I cannot, again, thank you enough for producing this show and having fun with us and all the technical difficulties and staying on top of everybody. So thank you again, Paula. And
You're welcome.
thank you. And everyone else, have a pleasant evening. And we will be back, I think, next week. And I'll let everyone know, back with Linda, back with Miranda, and probably a couple of Tylenol and hair of the dog kind of thing, I bet you. Anyway, Thank you very much, everyone, and have a pleasant night. And we're going to see you again next week. Take care. Book at jimhuntofficial.com. I don't have Miranda's stuff and I don't have Linda's stuff, but I'll put it up there for all of us later on tonight. Thank you very much for listening and putting up with us. All right. Take care, everyone. Bye now.
Okay, we're good.